Hello, Khoa. So this is lesson 3 of your IELTS one-on-one class. Welcome. And I hope you get well soon. Yeah. All right. So today we look at writing task 1. First off, before we begin, can you tell me what you know about the IELTS writing and then what you know about the IELTS writing task 1?
About the IELTS writing task one, let's see. First one, you talk about it's shorter than the task two. You have to write about 150 words. Usually you have to spend about 20 minutes for it, and it's usually yeah giving you a graph, a map, or some numbers for you to analyze it. I think so. That's all my thinking.
Good job. So that's basically what IELTS writing task 1 is about. Okay, so let's review those information and go into more detail about the task type and sample answers for you to know how to write IELTS writing task 1 reports. Okay, so first off, IELTS writing in general. The test lasts for 1 hour or 60 minutes. And we all know that it has 2 tasks, right? Task 1 and task 2. And you are right. Task 1 takes less time than task 2, specifically 20 minutes. And the important information here is you have to write at least 150 words. So you have to write more than from 150 words above, so more than that, okay? The ideal length would be around 160 to 180. Okay, so you need to accurately describe and summarize visual information. The information may be presented in a diagram, a map, a graph, or a table. So basically, you're writing a report. Some documents call task 1 report writing. That's why the language needs to be objective. No personal opinion or explanation needed for task 1. Okay, and on Friday, we'll have a look at task 2, which lasts for 40 minutes and should be at least 250 words long. And they are essay writing. To be specific, discursive essay. So essay where you discuss ideas and arguments. Now, on to the marking criteria. So the examiner will be looking at 4 things when he or she mark your writing. They are task achievement. Have you answered the question? Have you pointed out the main features, the main trends, the maximum minimum points, the clear difference? Okay, so have you done that for task achievement, task 1? And coherence and cohesion. Have you developed your ideas logically? Is it easy to understand? That's coherence. And are those ideas linked together by words and phrases? That's cohesion. Okay. The third and fourth criteria are vocabulary and grammar. They call it lexical resource and grammatical range and accuracy, but basically they are the words you use and the sentence structures and the verb tense you use. They need to be varied, so a wide range, and they need to be accurate. You need to use them correctly. As for marking, you said that task 1 takes less time than task 2, right? And that's the same for marking. Writing task 2 is worth twice as much as writing task 1. So your writing score will be writing task 1 plus 2 times writing task 2 divided by 3. And that's your writing score. Okay, so now do you have any questions about this?
No.
Okay, so everything is clear, right? So now let's go into IELTS writing task 1. We are looking at academic writing, okay? Remember, for general training, task 1 will be letter writing, but we're not discussing that. We're looking at academic writing. And if you take paper-based IELTS, the task will somehow look like this in black and white. Okay, and the instruction is standard like this. Okay, the information you need to pay attention to is the one in the box. Okay, if you take IELTS on computer, the format will be something like this, and you need to input your writing into the box here. One advantage of IELTS on computer is that you can Control C, Control X, and Control V to edit your writing. If you take IELTS on paper, you need to use an answer sheet and you need to write clearly. And it takes a bit of time when you erase the words to correct them. So what format are you planning to take? Computer or paper?
On computers.
Okay, that's a good idea. I highly suggest and recommend people take the IELTS on computer. I myself haven't taken the actual computer test, but I've done practice for IELTS computer, and for writing it's just a different league with the paper. Yeah, it's very easy to type and easy to edit. As additionally, there's word counter for you here. All right. So now let's look at the question types for IELTS Writing Task 1. So basically there are 6 types. There will be a 7th type. I will tell you later. Now 6 types. Okay. Notice real IELTS questions are in black and white. These pictures are taken from textbooks. So in the textbook, they put color into the charts and maps here to make it easy to see and to make it beautiful. But yeah, the real test questions are black and white. IELTS will make sure the details are easy to differentiate, so don't worry. Okay, so I normally group them into 2 groups, the first 2 and the last 4. Why? Because the first 2 are visual input. So you have process diagram, a series of pictures to show steps in a process. For example, these are the 6 steps to making string hopper, a kind of noodle, a kind of rice noodle in Sri Lanka. Okay, the second visual type is map. You need to describe the differences from map 1 to map 2. Normally, they are 2 time periods. Okay, so process diagram and map. The last 4 are, instead of pictures, we have data. Yeah, so the last 4, line chart, bar chart, pie chart, and table. They include data. For these task types, you need to pay attention to 2 things. Firstly, you need to identify the task type to name them correctly in your writing. If it's a line chart, you must say line chart. If it's a table, you must say table, and so on. All right, so call them by their name. Secondly, despite the difference, representation, line, bar, table, pie, despite those differences, the thing you must pay attention to in order to choose the language. Khoa ơi, từ đầu đến giờ cô giảng bằng tiếng Anh, Khoa có cảm thấy thoải mái không? Có cần cô nói bằng tiếng Việt không?
Thoải mái cô ạ.
Okay, rồi, tốt. Right, so let's continue. If there's anything unclear, please stop me and then ask, okay? Right, so let's continue. The first thing is call them by their correct name. The second thing, to choose the language in your description, in your report, you must pay attention to the time, okay? There are 2 types. So with time change and without time change. With time change, there are many years. And without time change, there's no time frame, no dates, or just 1 year, okay? So can you look at the chart 1, 2, 3, 4 and tell me which 2 have time change and which 2 don't have time change?
The first and the fourth one is the time change, and the other 2 are not time changes.
That's right, yes. So when you analyze your chart, that's the second thing you must pay attention to after calling the chart's name correctly. So if there is no time change, like pie chart 2 and bar chart 3, if there's no time change, you must use comparison language. For example, And chat 2, which English-speaking country do foreign students want to study in? So let's look at the chart and we see the USA is the English-speaking country in which the highest percentage of foreign students want to study in. So the highest. In contrast, New Zealand is the least favorite destinations for foreign students at 4%, right? So yeah, least favorite, least popular. So you need to use comparison language. The same goes for chat 3, participation of 18-year-olds in education and training in 2014. So the highest number of 18-year-olds are participating in full-time education. In contrast, by comparison, the lowest number of 18-year-olds take part in other education and training. Yeah, so when there's no time change, you just need to use comparison language. Okay, for example, the number of students in employment is higher than the number of students not in employment, education, or training. Okay, so higher than, lower than, the highest, the lowest, the second highest, and so on. More than, less than. So that's comparison language for no time change. On the other hand, for chart 1, line chart 1 and table 4, there is time change. So firstly, if there are many groups of data, you need to identify the highest and lowest, just like for no time change. But another thing you must do, besides comparing the groups of data, you must point out the trend of the data. So does it go up? Does it go down? Does it fluctuate? Yeah, so for example, for chart 1, the percentage of graduates in the UK population increased significantly from 1990 to 2015. So increased significantly. Verb and adverb is used to describe the trends. Whereas, look at table 4. New entrants to primary teacher training program from 2007 to present fluctuated throughout the period. So you can see decreases, increases, decreases, and increases, and so on. Yeah, so fluctuate, increase, decrease, stay the same. Those are the language you need to use for charts that have changes in time. Okay, so that's a very quick overview for task types in IELTS Writing Task 1. Remember, they are visual information and they are data information. Visual, process and map. Data, line, pie, bar, table. For line, bar, pie, table, you need to, number 1, call their name correctly. Number 2, identify if they have time change or not to write your report using the correct language. Now, the seventh type, okay? So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 7th type is actually the 2 chart type, okay? So for 2 chart type, you will have either line, bar, pie, or table. So for example, you can have 1 line chart and then 1 pie chart, or 1 bar chart and 1 table. So that's 2 chart. And doing this type of task is very simple. Just like with 1 chart, for 2 charts, you describe all the charts there are from top to bottom, from left to right. Okay, 1 body paragraph for chart 1, 1 body paragraph for chart 2. And if there is a clear connection between the 2 charts, you spend 1 more body paragraph pointing that out. Right? So that's the overview of task types. Now, let's have a look at some samples. So this is a sample of a process diagram. What is it? What process does it show? Can you just have a look and tell me?
How to make a brick?
Good job. Brick manufacturing process. Yeah. Okay, so you go from beginning to end. All right. And what type is this?
A map type.
Yes, that's right. They are map description. And for this task type, you need to spend 1 body paragraph describing the first map, the second body paragraph, to describe the changes from Mac 1 to Mac 2, and a third body paragraph to describe the changes from Mac 2 to Mac 3. And this is line chart. Does it have time change?
Yes.
Good job. Yeah, even though there's only 1 year and 1 month, sorry, 3 months actually. Yeah, but the time change here is actually counted in hours, time of day or night. All right, so normally line chart always with time change. Okay, now bar chart. Some bar charts have time change, like this one, Southland's main export in 2000, 2024, for example, and future projections for 2025. So the 3 time periods. This one compares male and female students in further education. Yeah, and there are 3 time periods. Okay, so this bar chart has time change. Now, this bar chart doesn't have time change, even though there's 1 year, right? 2015. But basically, they're just comparing the figure for that year among different cities. So no time change here. Okay, this is pie chart with time change. So besides describing for each year which sources of energy is popular or common, yeah, you need to describe how they change from 1995 to 2005. A good idea is to use a body paragraph for 1995 and analyzing from highest percentages to lowest percentages, and then another body paragraph for describing the changes from 95 to 2005. So that's how you do it. All right. Now this pie chart doesn't have time change. Normally, pie charts that doesn't have time change won't be this simple in IELTS Writing Task 1. Normally, if a pie chart doesn't have time change, it will occur in 2 chart task type. Yeah, because it's too simple and you won't have enough information to write for 150 words. So if there's a pie chart with no time change, normally it would be accompanied by another chart. So to make 2 chart types. Okay, so for no time change, just go from the biggest to the second, to the third, to the etc. and to the last. Yeah, just go from biggest to smallest. Describe which one is highest and then which one is lowest. Okay.
I'm sorry. Is that kind of descending order, right?
That's right, descending. You go
And
from.
we can do vice versa.
You can, but
is there any problem?
But I wouldn't suggest you do that, even though it is still logical. I wouldn't suggest you do that because normally IELTS asks you to describe the main feature. And, descending order helps you to point out the main feature, the most popular or the highest number. Yeah, and all of the, good samples that I've read for IELTS Writing Task 1, they normally go from biggest to smallest, descending order. And when I was taught at university, my teachers also suggest that we use descending order from the biggest to the smallest. That would be a safer way. Yeah, I know that maybe you want to be different or, yeah, but for IELTS, I think it's better to play safe. Yeah, it's better to play safe and just go with the suggestions and the samples that are good. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So when you write your stories or you do anything creative, it's okay. Maybe go from the middle to the biggest and the smallest, or ascending order. But then for IELTS, it's a standardized test, and there are formulas for success for IELTS. And if you need to succeed, yeah, it's best to go with a formula, even though you don't like it. Yeah, but yeah, it's better to stay safe and get a high score than, yeah. Okay. Right, so that's the pie chart. Now, the final one is table. So this table has time change. Let's see.
Not quite.
No, without time change. I'm sorry about that. That's a mistake. Yeah, looking back. So no time change. I need to check. All right. Thank you about that. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so this is without time change, only 2002. And this one, no time change as well. Okay, so I need to edit my slide there. Sorry about that. So basically, if there's time change, yeah, there are many years. All right. Now, we have looked at sample questions for each of the task type. How would you go on and write your report, right? So you need to follow a structure, and a structure that I found very effective, simple to write is this one, the 4-paragraph structure. You start your report with an introduction. And what do you do in the introduction? You paraphrase the question and the chart. So you get information from the introduction. Sorry, you get information from the question, information from the chart, from the title, from the details in the chart, and you put them into one introduction that tells us what this map, this process diagram, this line chart, etc. illustrates. Yeah. Okay, and then an overview. So the introduction is actually the easiest part for you. Now move on to the overview. You need to point out the main features of the chart or graph. And this, you need to have a little planning. Yeah, you need to look at the chart in detail and point out the main features. Maybe the highest point, the lowest point, the main trend, the main changes, the steps, if it's a process. Okay, so that's an overview. It gives the examiner idea that you have looked at the chart and you do understand the chart. Now, after the overview, after pointing out the main features, you must report it in some detail. And that's why normally we divide the body paragraphs into two. So body 1, body 2. And you start with the same paragraph structure as a standard academic paragraph with topic sentence and supporting sentences. So for the topic sentence, you report the main feature. And then if there are comparisons, you make them. And for details, you include data to support your description. Okay, so normally you divide your report into 2 body paragraphs. How you divide it? No, you should divide it with some kind of logic. For example, the similar ones go together, the ones that increase go together, the one that decrease go together, for example. Yeah, right? So let's have a look in detail, some samples so that you know what I mean by the 4-paragraph structure. But before we move on, I want to point out that some other materials suggest different ways to write IELTS Writing Task 1. For example, Cambridge, their book, they even suggest that we move the overview until last and make it the conclusion. I do not advocate for this structure because overview is very important. It helps the examiner know that you have answered the question. Because it's important, you need to put it right after the introduction. Okay, so don't put the overview until last. Another way to write is to have an introduction, to have an overview, body 1, body 2, and to have a conclusion. That is also acceptable, but not necessary. Yeah, in task 1 writing, you do not need to have a conclusion. As long as you have the overview here, the conclusion is redundant. Okay, so yeah, this 4-paragraph structure is the most effective. All right, so now let's have a look at each task type and example so that you know how to write. Okay, let's have a look at this process diagram. Can you firstly read for me the task question?
This diagram shows how rainwater is collected for the use of drinking water in an Australian town.
Thank you very much. So it's a diagram and it shows how rainwater is collected. Most of the writing here are taken from IELTS lists, an IELTS teacher that I trust, and she has really good samples. That's why I chose her writings. Okay, so can you just have a look at this process diagram and tell me if you were to write this report, where would you start?
Well, we start from the top right picture from the rainwater going down to the rain.
Okay, and where would you end?
When they done making the drinking water.
Good job. That's right. I agree with you there. So step one for process diagram is you need to read and analyze the chart carefully to know what it shows and where the starting point and ending point is. Okay. So that's a key first step for process writing. Understand the process diagram and choosing the starting and ending point logically. Okay, so yeah, rainwater is collected for the use of drinking water. So yeah, we start at the top right corner here with rainwater and moving down to the drain and ending with drinking water. Okay, so now a tip for writing process is number one, like I said, understand and choose starting and ending point of the process. Number two, for process writing, the language. Okay, so language for process writing, you need to use present simple passive voice, câu bị động ở thì hiện tại đơn. Why? Yeah, because for process diagram, we don't know who the person is or who's doing the action. Okay, we just know the action and we just know the things that are being done. So yeah, use present simple passive voice flexibly. Not all sentences will be present simple passive, but some must, at least 50% of your writing must be present simple passive. The second thing for language, besides passive voice in the present tense, the second thing to notice is you need to use discourse markers for time, for steps in the process. For example, the first step is firstly, first of all, initially, all right? And secondly, next, then after that, the next stage of the process is finally, yeah, so you must use those words, those linking words, those discourse markers in your process description. That's a must for IELTS writing. Okay, so remember for language, two things. Firstly, discourse markers, right? And secondly, passive voice. Alright, Khoa nhớ cho cô nhé, là với cái dạng process diagram Khoa cần phải dùng câu bị động để miêu tả các bước trong quy trình, và thứ hai là dùng từ nối. Thế bây giờ chúng ta hiện thực hóa cái chart này như thế nào đúng không ạ? Report lại như nào? Okay, so let's have a look at the sample writing. Now, I'd like you to spend some few minutes, just read silently on your own, and then we'll discuss the content of the report. This is a Band 9 sample. Right. Cô xin mời Khoa đọc và sau khi Khoa đọc xong thì em nhắn cô và mình sẽ thảo luận nhé.
All right, I'm done reading it.
Thank you very much. So do you see the 4-paragraph structure?
Mm-hmm.
Can you
Yeah.
tell me what they are again? What's the name of each part?
The first one is
So the
one,
first paragraph of your writing is always the
introduction.
good job. That's the introduction. It introduces the main content of the writing, of the report or of the essay. Okay. The second one, the second paragraph.
The main overview of the diagram.
Good job. So that's an overview. It gives a general picture of the diagram. Okay, and all right, so the last two are the body 1 and body 2 paragraphs. Now tell me, body paragraph 1, where does it begin and where does it end for body paragraph 1?
The paragraph one starts from when the rainwaters fall to the roof, then purified to the water, moving on from the rain to the water filters on
Good
the
job.
ground.
Yeah, okay, that's right. And body paragraph 2, where does it begin and where does it end?
It starts from the water filters, then they move to the storage, then treated in the water treatment and moving back to the houses that transfer waters.
Good job. Okay, so basically you can see in the diagram, the part where the pipes are gray, yeah, that's body paragraph 1. And the parts where the pipes are white, so that's body paragraph 2. Okay, how you divide your body paragraphs depend on the logic that you see. Okay, so basically you need to divide them into 2 so that your writing is clearer and easy to read. So yeah, there must be a logic. There must be a logic in your division. All right, so but once again, it depends on the chart and it depends on how you understand the chart. So the writer here, Miss Liz, have decided to describe body 1 with a part where the water are collected and not treated. Okay, and after that, when the water goes through the first step of treatment, that is a water filter, from that until the end of the process where water is turned into drinking water. Yeah, so that's body 2. Okay, so remember how you divide your body paragraph based on the chart and based on your understanding of the logic in the chart. Now, let's look at the introduction in more detail. Okay, so the diagram illustrates. So that's the first paraphrase. Yeah, what is the corresponding part in the task question? Instead of illustrate, what is the original word?
Show.
Good job. That's it. So you need to paraphrase. You need to use different words to report the task question. Okay. So instead of show, you can have illustrate. And if the question is illustrate, you can say show. All right. Now, how rainwater is collected for the use of drinking water in an Australian town. How is that paraphrased in the introduction?
To process rainwater to use as drinking water.
Good job. So you can see the sentence structure is changed. Okay. In the task question, it is passive. Rainwater is collected. In the task, it's active. An Australian town processes rainwater. Okay. Some words, however, are kept because they are keywords. They are important words. Just like you would call a banana and not an apple or some other kind of words, right? So rainwater is kept and drinking water is kept because they are fixed keywords. Okay, so notice how the writer uses different words and different sentence structure to paraphrase in the introduction. You can do the same in your writing. Okay, now the overview, you can see for process diagram, you need to give an overview of every step in the process. Okay, so rainwater is collected from houses and passes through a filter to a storage where it is treated with chemicals, to make it fit for human consumption. So those are very good summary of the whole process. Yeah. So please use your own word to summarize all the process. And remember, your overview must start with the discourse marker for this part, and that is overall. Okay, remember, very simple word, just when you need to use it, right? Okay, let's look at body 1. What is the discourse marker to signify the first step?
Initially.
Good job. This is also a very good discourse marker. Instead of first, right? They say initially. The rain which falls on the rooftop, and this is passive, okay, is collected by the gutter. The gutter is this part, yeah, right? And then runs down the pipe, is this part, at the side of the house into the drain at the bottom. So these are drain, yeah. Each house collects rainwater in this way, and the rainwater is then passed along underground drains to the water filter. Right, so you see the process is described in detail, and there are passive voice sentences, right? Is then passed along, right? But you see, not all sentences are passive, right? We have each house collects rainwater in this way, so that's an active sentence. So remember to mix it up. Okay. Now, body 2, the rainwater passes through the filter to remove any impurities. So active sentence there. Now, once, this is also very interesting structure. Remember to use it in process writing. Once it has been filtered, another passive voice there. Passive voice in the present perfect tense. Okay, it continues along the pipes to a storage tank. So here, from this point, okay, remember another discourse marker. The water goes from storage to the water treatment. At this stage of the process, another very good discourse marker here. The water is treated with, so there you go, passive voice. Chemicals, yeah, in order to make it fit for consumption. When the water is ready for drinking, it travels along the pipes that lead back. So the pipes that lead back, present tense there, into the houses in a town where people can use the water for daily consumption. So the white pipes here. All right. So we just analyzed this sample, very good sample. Remember to use discourse markers and passive voice in your writing. One more. When the water is ready for drinking. So when and once. Very good structures. Okay, so is everything clear for you in this sample? Okay, so 2 things to pay attention to. Number 1, discourse markers. Number 2, passive voice for language. All right, so that's a process diagram. We've analyzed them in in many details there. Now let's look at the next chart. Okay, this is map. And for map, if there are many maps, yeah, you just go from the beginning to the end. So 1 body paragraph to describe map 1, 1 body paragraph to describe map 2, 1 body paragraph to describe map 3. Actually, the changes from map 1 to map 2, changes from map 2 to map 3. Okay, so can you read the question for me?
The map below shows the changes that have taken place in Middleside Village and Fountain, a neighboring town, since 1962.
Good job. And there are 3 maps. So since 1962, the first map, right? What are the time periods for the next 2 maps?
1985 and now.
Okay. So can you tell me something about map 1? What do you see in 1962 map?
There are 2 weirdly shaped middle-sized village and fountain, and some kind of roads or railroads. I don't know.
So are they close together or are they far away?
they are separate from each other,
Good
really
job.
far away.
Okay, so moving on to the second map, what are the changes?
Well, the fountain in Meadowside Village has roads connected to each other,
Yes.
and the Meadowside Village is big. Both town
Both the
village
village and the town.
are bigger,
Mm.
and Meadowside Village has some let's see, what's the word for it? I don't know what's the word, but some
So there are
leisure
three.
complex, housing estate, and superstore.
Good job. So there are three details added here. Good job. Now, from 1995 until now, what happened? What happened?
They are connected,
Good job.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are some more facilities in the middle of them.
Yes.
And
So there's a hotel, a station, and
then
business
park.
And one more thing.
Another road from Fountain to the Millside suburb.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, as you just suggested there, so the village turned into suburbs, right? Yeah, okay, and actually a railway is added. All right, so we have just looked at the main idea of this map task. Okay, now please spend some time. But before you read, okay, I need you to pay attention. So just like process diagram, there are requirements for map. So for maps, firstly, you need to use phrases to identify time and location. Okay, nghĩa là với dạng process thì nó có quy trình đúng không ạ? Nó có các bước trong quy trình. Vì thế là Khoa sẽ cần dùng các cái cụm từ để chỉ các bước trong quy trình, bước đầu, bước 2, bước tiếp theo, bước cuối vân vân. Và chúng ta dùng câu bị động. Sang bài map, chúng ta cũng cần phải dùng câu bị động để miêu tả một số các cái thay đổi. Ngoài ra, chúng ta sẽ phải dùng các cái cụm giới từ để chỉ thời gian và địa điểm cho cô nhé. Okay, so for the map, another thing you must pay attention is to use prepositional phrases to describe location and describe time. Second thing, you need to use verbs that describe changes. Okay, I will show you later on, but just have a look at the writing and then we'll discuss. Okay, thì em nhớ cho cô nhé. Là với dạng map thì hai cái đặc điểm của map giống như là dạng process cũng có hai đặc điểm đúng không ạ? Thì map nó có hai đặc điểm. Thứ nhất là chúng ta phải dùng các cái cụm giới từ để chỉ thời gian và địa điểm. Và thứ hai chúng ta phải dùng động từ để miêu tả các cái thay đổi trên các cái bản đồ đó. Ok, rồi cô xin mời Khoa lại dành ít phút Khoa tự đọc. Và khi nào đọc xong thì nhắn cô, mình sẽ cùng thảo luận nhé.
All done.
Okay, so yeah, remember that the introduction you not only paraphrase the task question, okay? You need to add information from the chart or the map as well, right? As for the overview, point out any major changes, okay, from beginning to end. So for example, overall, both Fountain and Meadowside Village increased in size over the years until they eventually merged together, at which point Meadow became a suburb. So there you go. Those are the main changes. Not only that, the writer has used verbs to describe change. Increase in size, merge together, became a suburb. So there are verbs to describe changes. Also, noun, significant changes to infrastructure, housing, facilities, right? So verbs and nouns to describe changes and details on a map. Now, as you know, body 1 describes map 1. Body 2 describes the changes from map 1 to map 2. And finally, noun, right? So just look at some of the phrases. Tell me some phrases that signify time. Bây giờ Khoa nhìn lại và chỉ cho cô một số cụm từ mà nó đề cập đến thời gian nhé, để chúng ta biết là cái đoạn này nó đang miêu tả cái mốc thời gian nào.
In 1962, by 1985, currently.
Good job. Well done. There you go. So very simple, right? Now, tell me some words or phrases that describe location.
Separate. Running to it. Located to.
Very close đấy. Rất gần rồi đấy. Cái cụm về cái hướng đó là hướng nào nhỉ?
To the north.
Good job. To the north.
To the north. To the west.
Good job.
From the west.
Well done. Okay, and then you can see the same for the body paragraph number 2, right? So for example, to the east, in the west, in the south. Now, for example, to the north of the station, to the south, on the other side of the road. Okay, so there you go. Phrases to describe time and location. Now, what are the differences between to the north and in the north and so on? So basically, to the north is, cô giải thích tiếng Việt luôn cho nó nhanh nhé. Đấy, sự khác biệt giữa to the north và in the north hoặc là from the north, đúng không ạ? Thì thường to the north là về phía bắc. Chúng ta thấy giới từ to, đúng không ạ? Đi về đâu đấy. While Fountain had a railway line running through it to the north, Meadowside, located to the west of Fountain, only had a small road from the west. Ok, thì ở đây chúng ta sẽ thấy là về phía bắc, về phía tây. Right? Thế còn chúng ta sẽ thấy là in the west là ở ngay cái phía tây đấy. Meadowside, moreover, had also, okay. Meadowside, moreover, had also developed a housing estate in the west, a leisure complex and supermarket in the south. Yeah. Đó thì đấy, qua hai cái ví dụ đấy, qua để cô đánh dấu ở trên bản đồ thì mình sẽ thấy ngay in the west là ở phía tây, nghĩa là bản thân cái housing estate đấy nó nằm luôn ở phía tây. Đó, và in the south là cái superstore đấy nó nằm luôn ở phía nam. Đó, thế còn to the west hay to the east, tóm lại cái sự khác biệt giữa in và to là về phía nào đấy và in là ở ngay cái phía đấy, nó nằm luôn ở cái vị trí đông tây nam bắc nào. Ok, tương tự này, to này, ngày nay chẳng hạn nhé, to the north of the station a hotel has been constructed and opposite the station, thì chúng ta thấy ngay to the north of the station là bắt đầu tính từ cái mốc là cái station, mình nhìn về phía bắc. Đó, to the north thì mình sẽ thấy cái hotel. Đó. Rồi to the south, on the other side of the road there is a new business park. Như vậy là vẫn lấy cái mốc station nhưng mình nhìn về phía nam thì mình sẽ thấy business park. Ok, thế còn nếu cô nói theo cách khác nhé, không lấy mốc là station nữa mà lấy mốc là Fountain với cả Meadowside suburb thì there is a hotel in the north of Fountain and Meadowside suburb and there is a hotel in the south of, sorry, there is a business park in the south of Fountain and Meadowside suburb. Đó. Khoan, cô lấy ví dụ thêm thế Khoan đã hiểu sự khác biệt giữa in và to chưa?
Rồi ạ.
Nhớ cho cô nhé, nếu chúng ta dùng in như vậy là nó nằm luôn ở cái phía đấy luôn. Đó, ví dụ là hotel là in the north of Fountain and Suburb, business park là in the south of Fountain and Suburb. Đó, nhưng mà nếu chúng ta lấy một cái mốc nào đấy, ví dụ là cái station này, thì hotel là to the north of the station, business park là to the south of the station. Đấy là sự khác biệt giữa in và to. Alright, đó thì Khoa nhớ cho cô, remember the necessary requirement for map description. Number one, use prepositional phrases to describe location and time. Number two, use verbs to describe the changes. Hey, bây giờ mấy cái verb đó là gì đúng không ạ? Để cô xóa bảng, cô mở một cái tài liệu khác để cô chia sẻ với Khoa. Một số các cái động từ cô sẽ gửi cái file để Khoa xem thêm nhé. Nhưng mà chúng ta cứ cô sẽ gửi cho Khoa cái file này để có thể tự xem thêm ở nhà nhé. Thế còn bây giờ mình đang đề cập đến đoạn map đúng không ạ? Thì chúng ta cần key vocabulary and expressions như thế này. Đó, cụm giới từ để miêu tả địa điểm. Okay, so in the north, south, east, west, in the center of, next to, adjacent to, opposite, across from. So those are prepositional phrases to describe locations. Now for changes, there are some verbs. Was developed into, was transformed into, was replaced by, was constructed, was built, was demolished, was removed. And in the active voice, something expanded, someone converts something into, or something is converted into, and someone renovated something, or something is renovated. Okay, so these are some basic verbs and prepositional phrases for location and change. Right? There are more. So I will send you the file and you can read for me. So how to write map description task in detail. All right, now the rest, I will go quickly through it and you can have a look in your free time at home, okay? Right, so next up, we have gone through process and map, right? Now just have a look at chart with no change, time change, and chart with time change, okay? So firstly, have a look at this chart. Tell me, what does it show?
It shows the expenditures of two countries on consumer goods in 2010.
Okay. So what are the consumer goods?
The cars, computers, books, perfume, and cameras.
And what are the countries?
They are France and the UK.
And what is the unit of measurement?
Pound sterling.
Good job. Okay, so now tell me for the UK, which is the most popular product?
Is cars.
Good job. So people in the UK spend most of their money to buy cars. And for for France, what is the most popular product?
The same as the UK.
Good job. Yeah. Now, the least popular product, what are they for France?
The least ones are the cameras for the France.
And for UK?
UK is a perfume.
Good job. Yeah. So you've just settled everything for this task. Yeah. Now let's move into the sample writing, so you know in detail how you can develop the report, right? Okay. So like the previous chart, please spend some time, 1 or 2 minutes, to just read through.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, complete the reading.
Okay, so do you have any questions for this chat?
No.
Everything is clear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good job. So you notice the language, right? There is no time change. So basically, you're using comparison language. So for example, the UK spent more money than France. Okay, and then for example, in the last body paragraph, the amount of money paid out on remaining goods was higher in France. Okay, so those are comparison language. Now let's look at the chart where there's time change. Okay, let's have a look at this line chart. Can you please read the task for me? The graph below.
The graph below shows the consumption of three spread from 1981 to 2007.
Good job. So what are the three spreads?
Margarine, low fat, and reduce the spread, and the butter.
Good job. So there is time change. What is the beginning and ending point?
It's from 1981 to 2007,
Good job. Well
separate
done.
by each 5 years.
That's right. Good job. Well done. So at the beginning of the period, which spread was consumed the most?
The butter,
Yeah. At how many grams? About how many grams?
about 140
Roughly
grams. All
roughly
right.
over approximately over 140 grams. Good job. So butter was the most common at the beginning of the period, right? Now, what is the second most common spread at the beginning of the period?
And the margarine.
Good job. Okay, so margarine in 1981 was the second most popular at about 90 grams consumed. What about low fat? Low fat and reduced spread. When did it start?
Mm, in the period of the 1986 to 2001, in the
Actually,
middle period.
yeah. So actually, it wasn't used from 1981 to 1991, but in 1996, low fat and reduced spread started to be consumed, and it increased significantly to from around 10 to over 80 grams in 2001, right? And it reduced slightly in 2007. Okay, so what about the other two spreads? What happens at the end of the period for butter and for margarine?
They use less and less more often than low fat and reduced spread.
Okay, good job. And towards the end of the period, low fat and reduced spread was the most popular, consumed the most, but butter, on the other hand, stood at the second place, and margarine stood at the third place. Good job. So we just looked at the detail of the graph. Now just spend 2 minutes to read the description, the report.
Done.
Good job. So do you have any questions with this task type?
Nope.
All right, so just pay attention for this task type. Again, you need to use words to describe changes, okay? So maybe began at around, peaked at, falling dramatically to, was eaten. So once again, passive voice is still used in this task type. Fluctuated slightly, dropped to a low of, and started in, at about, reached a high of, fell slightly, yeah. And remember to use verb and adverbs, and you can also turn the verb and adverb into adjective and noun. So for example, fall dramatically, so experience a dramatic fall. Fluctuate slightly, saw slight fluctuation. Ok, thì ý cô ở đây là cái dạng có thay đổi theo thời gian thì Khoa sẽ phải dùng ngôn ngữ để miêu tả thay đổi, đúng không ạ? Thì không nhất thiết là chúng ta phải dùng lúc nào cũng là động từ và trạng từ nhé. Mình có thể đa dạng hóa cái ngôn ngữ của mình bằng cách là dùng các cụm, danh từ và tính từ nữa. Thì cô nhắc Khoa như vậy để mình nhớ cho cái ngôn ngữ của mình nó phong phú hơn nhé. Ví dụ cô vừa nói đúng không nhỉ? Falling dramatically thì chúng ta có thể dùng là seeing hay là experiencing a dramatic fall, rồi seeing or witnessing a slight fluctuation. Ok, các cái ngôn ngữ này Khoa có cần cô gửi thêm tài liệu để tham khảo không?
Nothing necessary.
Okay, so you know this, right? Okay, good job. Alright. Rồi, cô cảm ơn Khoa đã tập trung lắng nghe. Như vậy là chúng ta đã tham khảo. So we've just looked at process diagram, map description, chart with no time change, and chart with time change. So pay attention to the language there. Right. So your homework for today is to read. Sorry. Okay, is to finish reading the other examples, the pie chart, the table, the two chart. Okay, so finish reading this and let me see. Okay, finish reading this and I will send you a task 1. All right, and you will complete the IELTS Writing Task 1 for me. Okay, đó, cô nhắc lại bài tập về nhà nhé. Là thứ nhất, cô sẽ gửi cho Khoa cái slideshow này hôm nay chúng ta đã tham khảo về IELTS Writing Task 1. Khoa sẽ đọc kỹ hơn, đọc lại hoặc là đọc nốt các cái bài mà chúng ta chưa kịp tham khảo. Và thứ hai là cô sẽ gửi cho Khoa một bài Writing Task 1 bất kỳ và Khoa sẽ hoàn thiện bài đó cho cô.
Can
Okay.
I pick it?
You want to pick your writing?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. But my advice is to use sources from Cambridge, okay? Khoa được tự chọn nhé.
Vâng.
Thế thì cô sẽ không cần gửi cái bài Writing Task 1 cho Khoa mà Khoa sẽ tự chọn ha.
Vâng.
Đó thì cô khuyên là Khoa sẽ dùng của Cambridge cho cô nhé. Các nguồn khác thì có thể không biết trôi nổi ở đâu thì mình cũng không nên. Ok, đó thì đấy, hai việc. Đọc lại cái slide này và đọc thêm nốt các bài còn lại. Và thứ hai nữa là Khoa sẽ chọn một bài Writing Task 1 rồi viết gửi cô nhé. Okay, thank you for joining the class today. Happy writing, reading, and I will see you on Friday. Yeah, 2:30 p.m. Friday for IELTS Writing Task 2 overview. Okay?
Well,
yeah, enjoy the rest of the day. Have a good week and see you on Friday. Goodbye.
see you later.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.